February, then there is the big fight, one of the greatest fights in the history of boxing.
Is that people will buy it, they'll watch it, and Netflix have bought it, and they're expecting to get big numbers. They've had big numbers for his last two fights. He's a major attraction for whatever reason. But he's a licensed boxer. He trains, he works as a fighter.
Turki Alalshikh drops a bombshell on Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury updated live and revealed that the massive fight everyone has been waiting for will happen in 2026. This announcement sets the stage for an epic clash and makes the boxing world go into overdrive.
This will be surprise. We signed with fighter from his side.
Alexander Usyk highlights that Anthony Joshua is a top-class Olympic champion and professional, far above Jake Paul. This fight against Jake Paul will serve as a warm-up before the massive showdown with Tyson Fury, exactly what Turki Alalshikh hinted at in his live update for 2026.
Last fight, it's great, because Anthony is Olympic champion, Francis Ngannou, it's second fight for boxing. Listen.
Frank Warren emphasizes that Anthony Joshua remains the massive favorite even against Jake Paul, a man stepping up far beyond his level. Joshua's experience as a two-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist makes this fight almost a formality before the real test against Tyson Fury.
Fighting a guy, two-time world champion, as somebody who's a natural heavyweight. I know there's a weight clause thing on there, but I don't think that will make a lot of difference to AJ. And he's also a gold medalist. I think it's he's a massive favorite, AJ, for this.
DC points out just how daring Jake Paul is stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua. He compares the fight to Francis's defeat, showing Joshua's dominance and experience. Jake Paul has courage, but Joshua's skill and ring intelligence make this challenge almost reckless.
Yeah, but what about Anthony Joshua?
That's bad, bro.
Hey, Paul was like,
Yo, why say that like that?
bro, like Francis went and fought him.
Bro, I said, Jake, did you see what he did to Francis? He's like, Francis is light work too.
Here's also, oh my God, he is kind of crazy. Francis wasn't training boxing at the level.
Short, yeah, we get it.
Because I would imagine if Jake gets hurt, he knows how to hold like a boxer. Because in boxing, you gotta go clinch when you get hurt. Francis was kind of like just standing there. Listen to me right here. Let me tell you this. He fights Anthony Joshua with no parameters in place. Y'all better give Jake Paul his credit.
Yeah.
I will, because that's fucking, it's brave.
Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul at his dick.
Carl Frosch highlights Anthony Joshua's precision and power, showing why Jake Paul stands little chance. Even past his prime, Joshua's 1-2 punch and control in the ring are superior. Paul lacks the skill and experience to handle a true world-class heavyweight, making this matchup highly one-sided.
What should happen? This is a one-round job, because AJ, even though he's past his best, even though he's seen better days, he throws a nice 1-2 down the middle. He's got a nice bit of distance, and fake Paul can't fight. He just can't. I don't care what anybody tells me. He can't fucking fight. He lost to Tommy Fury, for crying out loud.
Even supporters admit Jake Paul is brave and entertaining, but lack credibility against Anthony Joshua. Joshua's experience, skill, and power make him the clear favorite. Paul's courage is remarkable, yet stepping in against a seasoned Olympic champion highlights how risky this fight really is for him.
First of all, kudos to Jake Paul. The cojones this motherfucker has, from a Disney kid to YouTube to he can fight anyone and get views and make fucking money. This crazy wild boy sends out the bat signal, the British bat signal for Anthony motherfucking Joshua. You know how crazy that is? I will say this. I don't think any of Jake Paul's fights are fixed in any capacity. At all. Not even close. I don't get down that narrative. I will say this though. My spidey senses will go off if Anthony Joshua doesn't absolutely mop the floor with him.
Lawrence Okolie plans to spar with Jake Paul to prepare himself, but this also exposes Paul to real heavyweight experience. Anthony Joshua faces an opponent who has been warmed up by a professional, showing the gap between skill levels. Okolie's comments reveal just how untested Jake Paul is against true champions.
I think, hats off to both of them for getting very well paid. I do want to go in and work with with Jake Paul in preparation for this fight and preparation for mine. It'll be good to. I need to know what he sees that makes him think this is a good idea. That's one I'm very difficult to know.
Eddie Hearn praises Jake Paul's dedication, but makes it clear Anthony Joshua remains far superior. Paul is improving, yet he is far from the skill level required to challenge a seasoned heavyweight. Joshua's dominance in the ring makes this fight a one-sided contest despite Paul's effort.
Such an easy night's work, and it would be massive. And Jake's smart. Look, I know that we have our back and forth. Jake's improving as a fighter, and you have to respect the fact that he's dedicated not just to the business, but also the hard graft of boxing. I still don't think he's particularly good, but he's a decent, some level.
Devin Haney emphasizes the danger Jake Paul faces stepping in against Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a top-level world champion and a dangerous opponent. Paul's decision to fight him shows boldness, but also highlights the risk, as he cannot match Joshua's skill, experience, or power in the ring.
I was surprised that Jake took the fight rather than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is one of the best fighters in the world. He's a solidified champion. But I'm surprised that Jake took the fight and is fighting a guy that's so dangerous like Anthony Joshua. So I got to take my hat off to him. Because we were saying that, he's fighting this person past their prime, this person's old and this and whatnot, and now he's fighting,
Tyson Fury sees potential in the hype around Jake Paul, but clearly underestimates Anthony Joshua's supremacy. Joshua is a tested champion with Olympic pedigree and world-class experience. Paul may bring unpredictability, but facing someone of Joshua's caliber is a completely different challenge. Fury acknowledges the interest, but this fight is far from an even match.
Do you regret the Joshua fight not happening?
No, I don't. I don't regret anything. Life's too short for regrets.
What do you think of Jake Paul calling him out?
I think it's a good fight. I think it's a real 50-50 fight.
Carl Frampton is confident Anthony Joshua would handle Jake Paul effortlessly. Joshua's power and technique are too much for Paul, who lacks the experience of a world-class heavyweight. Even if Paul surprises initially, Joshua's ability to close fights quickly and decisively makes this a completely one-sided affair in favor of the former champion.
Why do you think it doesn't harm AJ?
I don't think it does harm.
Why?
Because I just think he goes and if it's a real fight, he'd go and blow him away in a round. That's the end.
What if he doesn't do him in a round? Is that?
Gareth A. Davies makes it clear that Jake Paul is nowhere near the standard of a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua. Joshua has faced elite opponents and excelled, showing incredible skill and resilience. Paul stepping in against a fighter of this magnitude is unrealistic. Joshua's experience and power will dominate from the opening bell.
I completely agree with Ben. I mean, that's the biggest issue with the fights. Let's be fair. Jake Paul is an area level fighter, British area level fighter. That's where he's at as a cruiserweight. He's stepping in against a very big heavyweight who's a massive puncher. Just go back to the second fight with Alexander Usyk. Look how great Alexander Usyk has become. And you go back and look at some of the highlights of Joshua's attacks on Usyk and gave him a real...
Derek Chisora is confident that Anthony Joshua will end this fight quickly. Jake Paul has no chance to survive multiple rounds against someone of Joshua's experience and power. Joshua has demonstrated the ability to finish fights decisively, making this matchup extremely lopsided. Paul will struggle from the start and cannot match the former champion's intensity.
I told Anthony, I've already messaged Anthony as I listen. I tell you what, I said to AJ, if this goes past 5 rounds, everybody's gonna be having a go at you because you can't go past 5 rounds with this kid. It has to go past 1 round or 2 rounds. Past beyond 4 or 5 rounds, people are gonna be doubting you as a fighter himself. So he has to smoke him out like what he did Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia in 1 round.
Johnny Nelson is blunt about Jake Paul's unrealistic challenge against Anthony Joshua. Joshua does not play lightly and will knock Paul out if given the chance. Paul is entertaining and clever with promotion, but the reality of stepping into the ring with a true heavyweight champion exposes the huge gap in skill and power.
Because Jake Paul is crazy. If he thinks he can get it with Anthony Joshua, former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, and play tiddlywinks, I don't think AJ plays touch. He plays knock the F out.
Logan Paul hits the nail on the head. The thought of Jake Paul stepping into the ring with Anthony Joshua is insane. Joshua's devastating knockout of Francis Ngannou showed his unparalleled power and ring intelligence. Jake Paul has no real experience against true heavyweights, and his celebrity boxing rise will be completely exposed. Every aspect of his skill will be tested against a true champion who has Olympic experience, world titles, and a career built on real fights. Joshua's precision, timing, and power make him a nightmare for anyone unproven in the heavyweight division. There is simply no comparison between Anthony Joshua and a YouTube fighter.
The Joshua thing is crazy.
Is that a real conversation?
Jake's a fucking lunatic, and it's probably real. I saw Joshua knock out Francis Ngannou, and the guy was like out cold for 5 minutes. And this is a guy who had never been knocked down, let alone knocked out.
If he steps in the ring with him, and actually a bell rings and there are punches thrown, every bit of Jake Paul is not a real boxer conversation is gone forever.
Eddie Hearn makes it perfectly clear how dangerous this matchup is for Jake Paul. Anthony Joshua is not just a former two-time world heavyweight champion, but a fighter with the precision and power to end fights in a single punch. The risk Paul is taking is enormous because Joshua's technique, size, and championship experience leave very little room for error. Every round will test Paul's resilience, timing, and defensive skills, and he is unlikely to survive Joshua's relentless pressure. This fight is a massive mismatch, and Hearn's warning underscores how Joshua's dominance in the ring makes him a fearsome challenge for anyone, especially a YouTube fighter with limited high-level experience.
This is like that. But I said to Jake Paul, you ain't in a box, mate, and this ain't David Blaine. I said, so just be careful, because AJ will take your head clean off your shoulders, and it's you know, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
And you take on that responsibility, and we all have to, so we got to think about that. But this is Anthony fighting a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. It's not something that we would normally do.
Yeah.
But
Frank Warren lays out the brutal reality for Jake Paul in this fight against Anthony Joshua. Joshua is a world-class heavyweight with Olympic credentials and multiple world titles, which makes him an extremely dangerous opponent for anyone stepping into the ring untested at this level. Paul may have confidence in training, but experience and skill gaps are glaring. Joshua's power, timing, and ring IQ are unmatched, and every moment in the fight will expose Paul's weaknesses. Warren's words highlight the risk and the challenge, showing that Anthony Joshua will dominate the fight from start to finish if Paul cannot rise to the occasion, which is highly unlikely given the mismatch.
It's a dangerous fight. Of course, it's it's a dangerous fight. But I'm not here to be there selling their show. I've got no interest in the fighters from that perspective. I just think that he is a licensed boxer. He trains. He knows what he's getting involved with. He's not an idiot, and he knows what he's going to be up against. But he must believe in himself to do it.
Tyson Fury's prediction that Jake Paul could knock out Anthony Joshua is bold but highly questionable. Anthony Joshua remains one of the most accomplished and powerful heavyweights in the world, with Olympic experience and world championships to prove his dominance. Jake Paul may be improving, but he has not faced opponents with the skill, speed, and knockout power that Joshua possesses. Any confidence Paul has will be put to the ultimate test in the ring. Joshua's experience, technique, and ability to control distance make him an overwhelming favorite. Fury's comments may hype Paul, but the reality is that Anthony Joshua's skill set and championship pedigree leave little room for an upset.
I don't know about tune up. I think Jake Paul knocks him out.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Why so? What impresses you about Jake Paul?
I just think Jake Paul would knock AJ out. I think AJ's a spent force, and I think Jake Paul's on the rise. And I like his new heavyweight look.
The build-up to Anthony Joshua's next fights is unlike anything boxing fans have seen in years, with Turki Alalshikh confirming that Joshua will face Jake Paul as a warm-up before the massive showdown with Tyson Fury in 2026. The stakes have never been higher. Joshua's experience, Olympic background, and devastating power make him a true heavyweight force, while Jake Paul relies on hype and YouTube fame without the high-level ring experience. If Anthony Joshua wins as expected, it will reaffirm his legacy as one of the most complete heavyweights of his era and send a clear message to anyone thinking they can challenge him. If Jake Paul somehow pulls off a shocking upset, it would stun the boxing world and rewrite the rules of celebrity matchups forever. Who is mentally stronger and hungrier to win remains obvious. Are you backing Anthony Joshua, or is Jake Paul going to pull the upset? Drop your thoughts below.